Before any great app or website ever gets built, there's this really crucial first step. And you know what? It has nothing to do with code or pretty pixels. It's all about deeply, truly understanding the people who are actually going to use the thing. So let's break down exactly how the best teams do it.
What you're looking at here, this wheel, is pretty much the foundation of user experience design. It's this constant cycle of analysis, then design, then prototyping, and finally, evaluation. Now, every single part of this is super important, but today we're going to zero in right here on analysis. And why is that? Well, it's simple. If you get this part wrong, everything that comes after it, the design, the prototype, the final product, is basically built on a shaky foundation. So here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through 5 key steps that take us from just a vague idea to a rock-solid blueprint. We'll start with that initial spark of a vision. Then we'll literally go out into the field to see how people live. After that, we'll figure out how to make sense of all that data, find the hidden patterns, and finally build the foundation that a design team can really run with.
Okay, step 1. Before we can even think about talking to users, we need a clear starting point, right? Every single project has to begin with a shared understanding of what we're even trying to build in the first place.
And that starting point has a name, the system concept statement. The best way to think of it is as the project's North Star. It's like a mission statement. It's a short, powerful summary that makes sure everyone on the team, whether they're designers, engineers, or managers, is all rowing in the same direction.
And what's wild is just how much work this little statement has to do. It's not just a name and a list of features. Nope. It's got to answer the really big questions. Who is this for? What is it actually going to do for them? What real-world problem are we solving here? And, maybe most importantly, what kind of experience, what kind of emotional impact do we want this thing to have?
But here's the absolute key takeaway. This initial vision, it's just a hypothesis. It's our best guess before we've talked to a single real person. The whole point of the process we're about to dive into is to stress test these assumptions against reality and see where we were right and where we were wrong.
So, we've got our starting hypothesis in hand. Now comes the most important part. We have to get out of the office. It's time to step into the real world and see people where they actually live and work.
We do this with a technique called contextual inquiry. And the goal here is pretty simple, but it's also profound. We want to understand what people actually do, not just what they say they do in some survey or focus group. By watching them in their own environment, you uncover all the messy, brilliant, and surprising realities of their lives. You know, the whole process makes you feel like a data detective. You prep for your visit, and then you observe. You interview people while they're in the middle of their work. You're a listener at this stage, not a problem solver. You just follow the clues, you ask why they do things a certain way, and you take incredibly detailed notes on absolutely everything you see and hear. Now, there are kind of 2 main flavors of this. Data-driven inquiry is like casting a really wide net. You just gather a massive amount of raw data first. It's super comprehensive, and it's perfect for when you're exploring a brand new area. On the other hand, model-driven inquiry is more agile. You start with an idea, and you use targeted observations to quickly test and refine it. That's great when you're trying to improve a product that already exists. Okay, so you've done your fieldwork. Awesome. But now you have hours of interview recordings, stacks of photos, and a bunch of messy handwritten notes. The next challenge is, frankly, huge. How in the world do you turn this mountain of raw data into structured, usable insights? This flowchart here is basically our map for this part of the journey. You can see we start at the top with all that messy, raw data. Then, through this process of reviewing it, brainstorming, and synthesizing, we work our way down to create models and insights that a design team can actually use to build something. The very first step is to break that mountain of data down into individual building blocks. And in UX, we call these work activity notes. The whole idea is to filter out all the noise, all the tangents and the small talk from our raw data, and just distill each core idea into a single, clear, powerful statement about what the user is doing. Let's look at a real example. So this is what you start with. This is raw, word-for-word data from an interview about buying tickets. You can hear the user is talking about their feelings, their friends, and a problem they're having. It's all really valuable stuff, but it's not quite actionable yet.
And here's the magic trick. Look at that transformation. That rambling thought becomes a laser-focused, self-contained work activity note. It captures the core user need in a way that a designer can instantly understand and immediately start trying to solve. That right there is the power of synthesis. So you just repeat that process over and over, and now you've got dozens, maybe even hundreds of these individual notes. Each one is like a little golden nugget of insight. The next job is to organize them so we can finally see the bigger picture. And we do this using a fantastic technique called affinity diagramming. The result is something called a Work Activity Affinity Diagram, or a WAAD for short. It's a really powerful visual way to discover all the hidden themes and patterns in our data just by grouping related notes together. And this is what it looks like in reality. So forget any neat, clean diagrams you might have in your head. This is a messy, collaborative, and incredibly insightful process. You can see the team literally took all their notes and started physically grouping them on a giant wall, creating this massive shared map of the user's world. The process itself is super hands-on. The whole team gets together in a room, they put every single note up on a wall, and then, and this is the cool part, without even talking at first, they just start moving the notes into groups that feel like they belong together. Slowly but surely, these clusters start to emerge, the team gives them names, and a whole hierarchy of user needs begins to take shape right before your eyes. So, with this beautifully organized map of our user's reality, we've finally reached the last step of our analysis. We are now ready to translate all these amazing insights into a concrete blueprint that the design team can actually use to start building. And this right here is where the magic really happens. It's a huge mental leap. See, everything we've done so far has been about documenting what is, the current reality. But now we have to use that understanding to define what should be. We get to imagine a future system that solves the problems we uncovered and actually makes our users' lives better. The final output here isn't just some boring list of requirements. No way. It's a set of visual guides, what we call design-informing models, that bring the user's world to life. This flow model, for example, it isn't just a bunch of boxes and arrows. It's a story. It shows the designers at a glance who does what, where the problems are, and where their new design could make the biggest impact. And with that, we've come full circle. We're right back at our UX lifecycle wheel. We have now officially completed the entire analyze phase. We started with just an idea, and we've ended up with real, tangible things. A deep understanding of our users, a clear set of requirements, and visual models to guide the way. The foundation is officially built. This whole incredible process really leads us to one final exciting question. We've done the hard work, we've built the blueprint, we actually truly understand the user now. The only question left is, what are you going to build for them?